Anchor's up. Sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well, Jared. How are you doing today, good sir?
I am doing just fine. We have another week of Ohio State football coming. Guys, it's November.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Don't be mad if Ohio State only has 28 points. It's only if it's only 28-0 at halftime. It's just enjoy it. It's Ohio State football.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you play. Just enjoy it. It's only a few weeks out of the year here, so enjoy it. But it is, Jared. It is time for.
Zach says he's going to be in attendance.
Awesome. It is that time. It is our Know Your Enemy episode, and today, Jared, this weekend, we get to talk about everyone's favorite team. Austin knows what's up here. The Indiana Hoosiers.
Kyle, we're gonna do it again. I'm gonna need you to turn your noise gate off and try it again. I feel like it's a yearly. We only really get to do it once a year properly.
I got it.
Okay,
I got it. You ready? The Indiana Hoosiers.
All right, now you can turn that noise gate back on.
There we go. All right, Indiana. Not a good team this year. Not a good team. Coming in 3-6, 1-5 in the Big Ten. Yeah, they've been on a 6-game losing streak, Jared.
Kyle. The team's bad. They're on a massive losing streak. Before this turns into a rerun of last week, before this turns into a rerun of last week's Know Your Enemy episode.
Weather talk.
The weather, and again, this is Wednesday night and the weather changes. About 39 degrees, wind about 14 miles an hour, little to no, right now it says 0% chance of rain. Again, we're recording this on Wednesday night. Things change. Before people get concerned, I don't feel like this is going to be a repeat of last week. Weathermen are never wrong. False. Weathermen are never wrong, and I'm 100% on my sloop picks this week, or this year. Please listen to the sloop picks on Friday, because no one does.
All right, Jared. Tell us about this Indiana team. What do we make of this Indiana team? As I mentioned, losing 6 in a row here, and yeah, not good.
Yeah, they started off with a win over Illinois, which, in retrospect, at the time, Indiana beat Illinois. Well, whatever. I think we actually mostly even expected it. So it's okay, we probably didn't even. Kyle, I don't remember anything we record. I'll forget that I'm saying this right now.
Nope.
In 24 hours. Did we even talk about Indiana, Illinois?
Probably not.
On our Collegiate Chaos episode.
Probably not, Jared.
I feel really good saying no.
Yeah.
Then they beat Idaho. Then they beat Western Kentucky. Now, yeah, we probably should have. So they started off 3-0. We should have been a little hesitant when, you beat Western Kentucky in overtime by 3 points. Then they got boat raced by Cincinnati.
Yep.
They lost to Nebraska. And this was back when Nebraska was extra bad.
Yes, they were.
They lost to Michigan 31-10, which in retrospect is kind of an L for Michigan. Yeah, I think that was.
a
I
21
want to
point-
say Nomad that was. I want to say that was Nomad. I want to say that was Frost last game in Nebraska. Is that correct? Could that be right? I don't remember.
Remember,
All
remember that shit, hold on. Remember that Michigan game? It was 10-10 at halftime.
It was. It's a real Michigan L. He didn't coach against Nebraska. That was his first game there. No, he didn't coach against. Do you mean Indiana?
Indiana? Do you mean Indiana? I'm sure you meant Indiana.
I'm sure he meant
Either
Indiana. No, I meant what I said. Okay. But the way it is worded is confusing. Fair enough.
All right. So
Close
so
game. Close game against Maryland. A close game against Rutgers. All losses,
But
mind
that
you.
Maryland game, I believe that Maryland game was their first one without Baby Tua.
Was it? I don't remember when he got hurt.
Might have been. I'd have to look, but pretty sure that was minus Baby Tua. Nope. He did play in that game. That was the game that he left. He got hurt in.
How early?
He left in the fourth quarter there.
Okay. Then they got trounced by Penn State in their last game, and now here we are.
Yeah. Indiana scoring about 23.3 points per game and letting up 32.2 points per game. Not even averaging 80 yards a game on the ground and letting up almost 160. Now there was talks on Wednesday here, Jared, that there was a team meeting with the offensive line and with CJ Stroud to come together and really recognize, hey, yeah, we have an issue with the run game, guys. We got to get our shit together.
Was this a players only meeting?
I think it was.
It's never a good
I
sign.
think it was somebody.
The players only meeting's never a good sign.
CJ said, CJ said Paris Johnson and Dwan Jones held the offensive line accountable for the issues in the run game. Stroud also said he and Whippler have led discussions about improving that part of the offense.
It's kind of rich that Paris and Dwan would be the ones leading that conversation, considering they weren't the problem. Yeah. There is a serious. Let's. I mean, just to shift the focus to Ohio State real quick. Some people were calling me an apologist for the Northwestern game, for the Scarlet and Grade Northwestern game. You can't be blind to the fact that there's problems on the team. I'm not. The running game, the run blocking has gone downhill. I never said otherwise. I never said the team's perfect. I never said that there aren't problems developing. Never said those things. Just said that the wind affected the passing game, and when the passing game gets affected, of course the other team's going to load the box if you can't throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. It's basic football. It's basic football shit.
But still, not going to get into that. You can listen to Monday's episode more on that though.
Now, all right, if we're going to talk about rushing, what can we expect this game? Kyle, do you have rushing statistics or defensive rushing statistics for Indiana?
Yeah, not good. That I mentioned before, they're letting up about.
It's not bad.
They're letting up 157 yards on the ground. That's not good, Jared.
Right.
That's not all that good.
Right. But per rush, they're giving up 3.7, which is pretty decent. Here's the thing you have to realize about Indiana is that they tend to lose a lot of games pretty early, which is like other teams just start running on them. Just they go into clock killing mode against Indiana. But if you look at the per rush average, yeah, Kyle's absolutely right. Opponents' rushing yards per game, they're 84th in the country from a run defense standpoint, which, again, at first glance, looks really bad. But then the number of times an opponent has rushed the ball on them, they're 126th in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Their average is 34. They're 34th in the country, 3.7 average. So this is why you can't just look at like the number one defense, the number two defense, and they're just looking at like the total number of yards. That's a faulty way of looking at things. Other circumstances come into play. Indiana's rush defense is, I'm not going to say it's great, but to sit here and say they're the 84th best rushing defense in the country, that is false. I know that's what the stat says. A little deeper analysis will tell you otherwise. That being said, this is not like me preloading an excuse. Ohio State should be able to run against this team. Ohio State in September and the early part of October could run against this team. The Ohio State that we've seen the past 3 weeks, we'll see. We'll see. Because they've not been getting it done from a run blocking standpoint. And there are good reasons potentially why that is. The weather, Iowa's defense just actually being tremendously great. Penn State, I don't know about that. I think that was just a bad performance, if we're being honest.
Yeah, so Ohio State 2.2 yards per carry against Iowa, 3.8 against Penn State, and actually 5.9 against Northwestern. But that's due to a couple of break runs, though.
Yeah, I would be curious. I don't know if you I wonder what it was in the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like they started breaking runs in the fourth quarter against last week against Northwestern. I'm wondering what the numbers would have been like in the third quarter, but whatever. We're talking about Indiana right now, not Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at the passing numbers, the defensive passing numbers for Indiana, at first glance, passing yards per game, 106th. 106th. Now, but if you look at opponents' yards per attempt, it's still 90th. It's still not good. It's better than it appears, but still very bad. Still very bad. Opponent completion percentage, they're at 109th. I think if you look at this and you're like, man, why are teams getting so many plays against Indiana? Well, their offense is garbage. What you're legitimately seeing with Indiana, which is like, that why they were in the game for a while against Michigan and why they were in the game for a while against Maryland. You see a defense that's not totally terrible. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend like they're Iowa. They're not. But it's not a horrendously bad defense as much as it is a defense that has worn out over time. We're talking about Indiana's offense, whose third down conversion percentage is only 34.35%, which puts them 100th in the country. Points per play, they're 113th in the country. Yards per game, 114th in the country. Points per game, 97th in the country. What you're seeing is actually a fairly decent, okay-ish Indiana defense that just has been getting worn down all year because the offense can't keep the ball.
But Jared, is there anything positive? What's positive about?
I thought I was being
Indiana.
I thought I was being positive. I just said that their defense isn't as bad as it appears. That's me being positive. I don't know what else you want from me.
Yeah, so their defense led by Aaron Casey leads the team with 70 tackles, 9 of those for loss, 2 forced fumbles. And I'm curious to see, there's been some chat Not sure if their other linebacker, I think, is a real stud here, Cam Jones. I think Cam Jones, if he plays, could be a big difference maker for this Indiana defense. He's only played in the first 5 games, has been out with a foot injury, but in those first 5 games, he's averaged almost 11 tackles per game. So definitely a difference maker if he can play. There's rumors that he might have been able to play last week, did not. Maybe this week. We'll see. Nothing concrete yet.
Yeah. It's Indiana. I don't know what you. The spread opened at like 38.5, jumped pretty quickly to 41.5. This should be a blowout. I think if you're looking at Ohio State, they've had 3 games that, at least from an offensive perspective, didn't go exactly the way they wanted it to. Because we saw this team during the first half of the year just burying teams in the first quarter. Absolutely burying teams in the first half, at least. And then the past 3 weeks, Ohio State hasn't done that. And the rushing game is a serious issue for Ohio State over the past 3 weeks. So, what we have to ask ourselves is, what will we see from Ohio State this weekend against Indiana? And I think you're going to see a team that's out to prove that they still have it. I think this is a bad week to be Indiana. I think Ohio State's going to walk into the horseshoe and basically have nice by Ohio November standards weather. Yeah, it'll be breezy and a little bit chilly. That's fine. We can deal with that. As long as it's dry and the wind stays under 30, things should be fine. And I think you're going to see this team come out and try and prove something. And I think that they're going to, in 40, like we're not getting to the point where we're talking about the spread yet, but 41's a huge number. That's a huge number against a Big Ten opponent. I don't care if it's terrible Indiana. That's a big number. I'm going to pick Ohio State to pick the spread because I haven't not yet this year, and I'm a clown, so I'm going to do it again. But if you're like, I wouldn't put your house on the line. That's a big number. But I think what you will see absolutely this week is an Ohio State team that could cover the spread if they wanted to. Like, you're going to see Ohio State have this game buried at halftime, I think. Because as much as I tried to talk up their defense, like the absolute nicest thing I could say about them is that they, from a rushing standpoint, are 34th in the league at, yards per attempt. Actually, I take that back. That's not the nicest thing I can say about their defense. That's the nicest thing I can say about their team.
Yeah, I'm looking here. So the over under for this game is 58 points, but Ohio State is a 41.5 point favorite.
So I don't feel like doing math with a camera on me because that never goes well. What's the implied score there?
Oh God, I gotta do some math here. Give me a moment.
Just give me a moment. No, just keep going. It's not important. So again, Kyle, if we look at the defense, there's some good players here. I'm not going to say there isn't. They have a decent core of linebackers. They have not bad defensive backs. I think Williams is a decent defensive back. I think Mullen's a decent defensive back. They have a guy named Casey and a guy named Jones, which for people our age, I like to hear Casey Jones. A pair of linebackers who are getting a lot of tackles for the team. That's
like a 49-9 game, something like that.
49-9, is that the implied score?
Maybe No, actually 50-8. I think 50-8, which we all know. Like,
Said it's like 49-9 though, if you make it like logical football numbers.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's go ahead and go into our picks real quick then, Jared.
Do we talk about their offensive playmakers at all?
Yeah.
Play. Hold on. Excuse me. This is for the YouTube people. Playmakers.
So I really don't think they really have a playmaker here. Their running attack's not getting it done just because they're having to pass it all the time, and their quarterback Connor is not all that great. He's like 56% completion, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions for the year. Not all that great. So
he's also been sacked 23 times.
Oof. Yeah.
By the way, I found a statistic better, and this is if you can't tell by my tone of voice, this is going to be sarcastic. Better than the 34th run defense. They are number 3 in the country in number of passes per game.
Usually that doesn't bode well, Jared.
No, that means you're behind and needing to throw. That's what that means. That's what that means. Which is again why you see the disparity in their rushing defense statistics, right? They're just behind a lot and they're throwing a lot and they're getting run on a lot.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Who would you say is their best wide receiver, Kyle?
Probably Cam Camper. Leads the team in receptions, 46, 569 yards. Nice for the year so far.
Yeah, and they like to throw to their running back Henderson a decent amount too. And there have been some times this year with Ohio State where a pass to a running back has hurt them. So that might be a thing to keep an eye on. But yeah, the offense is not great. They have some decent playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, some good linebackers, some good defensive backs. They struggle in the defensive line area by a lot. So if you're Ohio State and you're trying to get that run game going, this might be a good game to do it. But again, like, you can't just go by the yardage. Their run defense isn't actually terrible. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying it's okay-ish. It's a pretty okay run defense.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into our picks then, Jared.
All right, let's do it.
We'll start with Ohio State player to watch. A lot of players here, Jared.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to go with?
Tossing this out there. When was the last time Ohio State had both their running backs healthy in a game? I think last week we were concerned that Mayan Williams might not play, but then Henderson did play. But we were expecting Henderson would play, but then it was the opposite. So I'm just going to say Henderson. Ohio State can go out. And by the way, I'm going to say Henderson / Mayan Williams. Whoever, can I just say the starting running back? Can I get that? Because we never know which running back's actually going to play. One of them is always like surprise hurt. Tossing that out there. But give me the starting running back. We want to see Ohio State establish Ohio State can go out and they can throw the ball all over the yard against Indiana if they want to. And a lot of people want that. That's what a lot of people want to see. They just want to see Ohio State blow this team out as quickly as possible. And I get that. Ryan Day wants to reestablish the running game. And you might say that that's stubborn or that's pig-headed or that whatever. Like, you might get frustrated at that. But you do need to fix the running game. And you need to fix the running game in game. You need to fix the running game in game. So you can call that, if you want to, pig-headed or stubborn or whatever, that he's going to, force the run game, whether it works or not. I'm fine with that. I'm going to go with the defensive player in this one, Jared. I know that
we expect Ohio State to put up tons of points in this game, but I'm going to go with the defensive player to watch for Ohio State, and I will go with person who's been on a roll these past few games, JT Tuimoloau.
All right.
But I would love to see
Zach says CJ on the ground is his player of the game. He also says Steel Chambers.
I would love to see Jack Sawyer finally break through. I would love to see that. I think I saw somebody in our Discord mentioned that earlier, but yeah, I think for me it's JT until somebody else new comes up.
That's fair.
All right. Enemy player to watch, Jared. I struggle with this one. I don't know which player for Indiana to watch out. So I guess I'll go with their main linebacker, Aaron Casey, making plays, stopping the run here. So I'll go with Aaron Casey.
Their punter, hopefully, Spikes says. That's funny. Kyle, do you know who the leading sack maker on the team is?
I thought you were going to say who's Kyle. Who's the name of their punter? Thought that's what you were going to ask me. That would be Deshaun McCullough.
Kyle, does that name sound familiar to you?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, if you listen to us during the off season,
the shirt.
If you listen to us during the off season and you listen to our recruiting stuff, then you know that he was committed to Ohio State for a long time. Yes, Austin, poor guy indeed. He flips to Indiana, which is a weird thing. You don't expect that to happen, but his dad was coaching there. His brother was playing there. So he made a family choice, which is, I respect that, and went and played for Indiana. Mm-hmm. However, he now finds himself as the only McCullough on the team as his brother graduated and his dad moved on to other pastures. So now he's just there by himself, doing well, leads the team in sacks, has a good number. He has 3 pass deflections, 21 solo tackles, a farm upstate. No, just a different coaching job. Not that type of pasture. Different pasture, not out to pasture. Two separate phrases. If he wants to transfer to Ohio State, I'll forgive him 100%. In fact, like, Ohio State has, Austin, does a thing you and I were talking about in the Discord earlier today. I think Ohio State's going to have some linebacker depth issues. Please, McCullough, come back. You can transfer in the conference now. It's not a big deal anymore. No, in fact, he's probably not even old enough to remember when it was a big deal, because that's not been a thing for a while. So yeah, come back, McCullough.
Key matchup of the game here. I really want to see Ohio State being able to, I guess, assert their dominance, be able to run on the ground, run it with effectively here. So I'm going to go with the Ohio State offensive line versus the Indiana linebackers, especially if Cam Jones is playing here. That's going to be a big plus for Indiana to stop Ohio State's running attack.
I'm going to go with a very similar but more specific issue. The interior offensive line, and I think now several weeks in a row that I have done this. The interior offensive line against, I'll say, the Indiana defensive tackles. I'm going to keep saying it until Ohio State figures it out.
All right. And the spread here, Jared. Ohio State, when CBS locked it in, 41.5 point favorite for Ohio State.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy. So
it's a lot of points.
So the beginning of the year, Jared,
it's a lot of points.
I didn't go with Ohio State to cover because I didn't trust them to be able to cover.
Uh-huh.
And then I came around. I'm like, all right, yeah, Ohio State's going to be able to cover these spreads here. And recently, that hasn't been the case here. And kind of like what you were saying with your key matchup. I'm going to pick you until it's no longer an issue. I'm going to kind of go the same way here. I have Ohio State winning, but not covering in this game. I have Ohio State 45 to Indiana 14.
You wanna check this out. Ohio State. This is, I'm gonna start with week 1 and just keep going. Ohio State doesn't cover, doesn't cover, 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 doesn't cover, 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 doesn't cover, doesn't cover. For what it's worth. Now, those aren't necessarily our numbers, though, because the numbers can swing a point or two different depending upon where you are. So that might not be 100% based off of the numbers that we were using. But yeah, Ohio State, at least according to the source I'm looking at that I just looked up now, 4-4-1. So 1 push against the spread this year. For what it's worth. That being said, Indiana's 3-6 against the spread. So there you go. Both teams currently on a 2 spread losing streak. Does any of that mean
that?
Yeah,
someone's got to break that.
Someone's going to break that. Someone's going to break that losing streak. 41 points is a lot, but I'm a clown and I'm a homer, so screw it. I'm going to pick Ohio State to win and cover.
He's doing math.
I am? Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to do the score?
Yes.
Am I doing the score now?
Yes, you are.
Crap.
Now comes the math.
Now comes the math. I will do 59-10.
All right.
59-10.
Right.
Nomad
and our guest
matchup is the punter versus the punt returner. Spikes says 52-17, which is like halfway in between, ours.
All right, and our guest picker, Jared, this week, one of the OGs of our Sloop Cats, Suncard.
Yes. What does he have to say?
Suncard picking. Yep, that's my final score there. Wait, was it? What did I say? I said 45-14. So we have the same total points, Austin.
Gee,
right,
how did? Oh, yeah. No.
All right,
no, he doesn't. He has 49-10.
Yeah, I had 45-14.
Fair enough. Oh,
all right, Suncard says,
you are
gentlemen,
not nice.
No, gentlemen. First, thank you for putting out quality content each week and building an awesome server and community. Thank you. I would encourage all listeners to join the Discord and the Patreon. Did I say it correctly, Jared?
Because you were reading it.
Okay. For this game, the Buckeyes respond big this week. Time to run the ball and dominate. I was hoping he would clarify this. He said Buckeyes cover and win 49-10, but that's not a cover.
Oops. Well, I think it opened. Well, you got to go with the score then. I think the game, he may have not.
38.5.
Yeah, it opened at 38.5. But we just got to go with the score, and Suncard therefore doesn't pick Ohio State to cover, according to Suncard. Sorry, Suncard, we changed your pick because of that's how math works, and you're a traitor to your fandom. Those are the rules. Sorry.
All right. So that is our picks here, Jared, and can't end the episode without answering some over-unders from Austin.
Austin's over-unders.
Austin getting just...
Yeah.
Listen. Austin.
Mispronouncing Austin's name's a tradition on this show. He literally changed his Twitter handle because of me.
All right, Austin's over/under here. I don't think he's listening. He would have responded to that. All right, first off here, Ohio State rushing yards. I am. I'm upset. Ohio State rushing yards, 189.5 yards in this game. Ohio State is averaging 193.2 yards per game. And you know what? I'm going to go over. This is a statement that Ohio State needs to make to really just put out there, mainly to the game that's happening here in a couple of weeks. Hey, we fixed this running game. Watch out. So I'm going to go over. I'm going over in this one.
I think Ryan Day wants to run the ball in this game, and I think that they go up pretty big, which means in the latter part of the game, they're going to run the ball a lot just to kill the clock. So, yeah, I'm going to go over on this one as well.
All right. Shivers yard per carry. Shivers is their main running back, averaging 2.59 yards per carry, which if I look up his stats real quick,
3.8.
What was it?
3.8.
3.8. Man, 2.59 is low.
Very low.
That is low. I'm going to go over with this one. It just seems really low for me. I'm sure there's some stats out there that Austin has here, which I'm actually trying to pull up right now from the game logs, his past couple of games here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask as
not
well.
that good. Not that good. His last games were -2 yards per carry,
Jeez.
0.8, 2.3, and against Michigan, it was 3.6.
He doesn't break a big run, he doesn't get it.
He hasn't had a
sounds like it's an offensive line issue to me, but yeah.
He hasn't had a rush of more than 16 yards since the game against Cincinnati.
Wow.
The
3.8 is the team yards per carry. According to my stats, that's his yards per carry.
That's also his too.
106 attempts, 399 yards, 3.8 per carry.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna look stupid here for a second.
Yeah.
Is Idaho FBS? Only a second, Nomad says.
They are in the Big Sky.
Austin says they're FCS now. All right. So worth noting that the stats I look at exclude they were previously FBS. Yes. And they did relegate themselves. But yeah, so just worth noting that the stats I look at don't include FCS numbers. So just in case someone's like, your numbers are wrong. That's why.
Yep.
They're not wrong. They're just different. Differently calculated.
All right. Next one here. Indiana first downs, total first downs at 13.5. I think that's something that Ohio State's been struggling a little bit, is letting up quite a few first downs throughout the game here. I just don't think Indiana has the playmaking ability, or Indiana does not have the players to be able to get that many first downs. So I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I agree. I already went over their offensive stats earlier. It's the third down conversion percentage, 100th in the country. Fourth down conversion percentage, 123rd in the country. They average 19 a game. First downs?
I'm still going to go under.
I find that very hard to believe.
All right. Next one here.
I'm going under as well.
All right. CJ Stroud passing yards at 281.5.
I just feel like this is a game where they really try to establish a running game. And again, I don't think this game's going to be competitive for the entirety of 3 quarters.
Yeah. I want to say
so how much are they even going to throw the ball late in the game?
I want to say it's going to be kind of like the Rutgers game. They ran the ball a lot. I know CJ kind of struggled a little bit in that game too, but I think they're going to run the ball a lot, and CJ's not going to have the numbers in there to put those kind of numbers up.
What did he
So
throw
I'm
for
gonna go
against? What did he throw for
I'm gonna
against
go under.
Rutgers? What did he throw for against Rutgers?
154 yards.
Against Rutgers?
He was 13 for 22 for 154 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
Yeah,
But he's over that 280 yards in the 3 games after that against Michigan State, against Iowa, and Penn State.
Yeah, did you guys see Cade McNamara is out for the season? Interesting. I did not see that.
Nope, missed that. I missed that.
I'm just curious how many times Ohio State like really throws the ball, like down the field throws the ball against this team versus like how much do they just run the ball, maybe throw on occasion just to pick up some first downs, but really try to like establish the running game. I'm actually gonna say under here, and it just has to do with what Ohio State chooses to do versus like if Ohio State wanted to throw for 400 in this game, they could. I'm curious if they're going to choose to.
All right. Indiana players with a reception at 7.5. This is one thing that Indiana does, and they spread the ball out a lot. As you probably saw, Jared, I wrote a lot of wide receiver names there. I know we didn't cover all the names there, but they throw the ball to a lot of players here. So I think 7.5 is a good number there, but it's still a lot. It's still a lot of players to throw it to. So
they currently have 10 players with 10 or more receptions.
Yeah, I'm going to go under with this. So I'll go under. I think 7 or 6 is what they'll end up with.
Can you read the question again?
Indiana players with a reception, 7.5.
It's a good. Yes, Austin, it's a good number. I think the number will be 7 exactly. So I'll go under.
All right. Ohio State rushing touchdowns at 3.5. Over.
Over.
All right, moving on. Eichenberg, Ransom, Steele, Hickman, total tackles, 26.5.
Eichenberg, Ransom, Chambers, Hickman. Over.
Yeah, I'll go over as well.
Yeah.
That group is 24.5 tackles. I'll go over.
Yeah. I'm starting to question it the more.
I'm going under because they're going to try to pass the ball more. Yeah, I'm going under.
They're not going to get. I don't think they're going to get a lot of first downs. I don't think they're going to have a ton of plays. Again, Ohio State's going to try to establish a running game, which means Ohio State's time of possession will be up. Indiana's not good at converting on downs, which means their time of possession will be low. And I also don't think this is a game where you see a ton of Ransom and Hickman tackles. I think a lot of the tackles that have been going to those two over the past few games will retransfer down to the defensive line, as Indiana does not have a good offensive line. So I think you're going to see a lot more defensive end, defensive tackles as opposed to safety tackles in this game. I'm going to go under.
All right. And that is all the questions Austin has for us.
That is all of the questions. Are there any other questions in Ask Sloopcast or maybe in the chat right this second?
Nothing in the mailbag. Nothing in the mailbag for related to the Ohio State Indiana game.
All right. So I guess that's it then. Want to, as Suncard mentioned, want to encourage everyone to join our Discord server. A Suncard who I was about to say doesn't get paid to say this, and in fact pays us. He says, thank you for, quality content each week. And he encourages all of you to stop by the patreon.thesloopcast.com. You can get basically all the access you want. Premium access to the Discord server, early episodes. You get episodes like the Monday, Thursday episodes, you might get a little early, but the Friday and Tuesday episodes, you can actually get like pretty decently early. Those RSS feeds, you get a custom RSS feed that doesn't have all the annoying ads that come from Spreaker. If you listen to this through the podcast version of the show, as opposed to the YouTube version of the show, you can avoid those ads that way. And like I said, unlimited access to the Discord server, including our social screens. See you, Nomad. Including our social screens. With Kyle, do we know, is the social screen looking to be another late game? Are we doing that again?
I think it is another late game. I am trying to scroll up.
I'm scrolling too. People can see me scrolling. Oh yeah, it's running away. It's absolutely it's a runaway. We'll be watching the primetime slot again. And I think that's it. That's all the plugs I feel like doing. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
How about some basketball news? I got 2 basketball news here, Jared. Ohio State opened up their season with a 91-53 victory over Robert Morris. All right. They shot the ball pretty well at 3-point land, almost 50% of the time. But I think the bigger basketball news was on the women's side. Number 14 Ohio State defeated number 5 Tennessee 87-75. That's a big win for the women Buckeyes there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's it. Well, I think I mentioned it in an earlier episode. We'll cover more basketball, probably more in January time. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about the basketball in the off season or between bowl games and all that. But right now, we're soaking all the football we can.
Absolutely. Except for the MAC game, we're currently not watching because we're doing this. But aside from that, so yeah, that's it. That's the end of the episode. Tonight's ending music will be brought to you by the Dopamines, who are a Cincinnati, maybe Dayton, I forget, based band. You can check them out if you're listening to the podcast version of the show simply by doing nothing and just keep listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the show notes to listen to the song, because we can't do music on YouTube. It's just not a thing you can do. Thank you, Kyle. That's a look it up, Kyle. Look it up during the music section of the show. Kyle's like, I know how to spell dopamines. All right. So with all that, So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, these are the Dopamines.